Hello and welcome to another video of mine. In today's video, we are taking a look at the Quarry again. Now, I already made a video of the Quarry on my PC, but I thought let's do a comparison with the PlayStation 5 and see how it performs in comparison to the PlayStation 5 because I enjoyed playing this more on a PC and I'll explain why in a short bit. Before I get to all of that, just a small request, if you're watching this video, then I will request that you watch this video on a large screen, like a TV or at least a computer or a laptop. Because if you're watching this on a mobile phone, it's really not going to do justice because you will not be able to figure out the differences between the gameplay of both these devices, like a PC and the PlayStation 5. So, just a suggestion before we get started and start talking about all the little things that I found to be better on the PC. And of course, the PC is going to be superior to the PlayStation 5, no questions there, but I'll explain, why, all right, in a short bit. So with that said, let's finally get started with this video. Now it opens with a cutscene, and I have tried to match the frames as much as I could, so it definitely takes a lot of effort in making these videos. A like and subscribe would be appreciated. Let's start with this scene first. Take a look at the branches in the background, the trees, and there's a lot more that you can see on the PC as compared to the PlayStation 5. It also looks sharper when it comes to the image quality on the PC. Now, please note that while I was playing on the PC, all the settings were cranked up high. So it was either on high or ultra settings, and it was in 4K. And here also, take a look at that vegetation, yeah? It's quite a lot there. So on the PC version, straight out of the box, let me explain the biggest difference that you would find on the PC. That's in the foliage, that's in the vegetation, and also in the way the lighting works. And lastly, the depth of field. The depth of field is outstanding on the PC. Let me tell you that. So here, if you actually take a look at the cutscenes, if you are just taking a look at it on the PlayStation 5 without taking a look at it on the PC, it looks fine. There's nothing wrong with the PlayStation 5's version of the game. In fact, a game like this, which has a lot of these cutscenes, majority of them are cutscenes, I would say. It's more like an interactive movie. But in games like this, you don't really need the 60 FPS. And speaking of FPS, this game runs at only 30 FPS on the PlayStation 5. That's right. So on the PS5 and on the Xbox Series X, it runs at a dynamic 4K at 30 FPS. So there is no option of getting 60 FPS on the PlayStation 5, at least not at the time of making this video. Now, in the future, they might come up with an update, but I don't have that news at the moment. Now, when it comes to the PC, I was playing this at 4K, like a solid 4K. So, all the settings cranked up high, like I said at the start of the video. So the VSync was on, and it definitely helped quite a lot because in terms of the frame rates on the PC, when it comes to these cutscenes, it was actually hovering somewhere between 24 FPS to 35 FPS. Now, the performance of this on the PC was better when it came to the gameplay. So when we finally got into the gameplay elements, my PC performed much better. It was on an average giving me around 35 FPS on the PC. It even touched 40s on the PC. But again, for a game like this, it would hardly matter because it's a very cinematic game. And if you know anything about how movies are made, movies are generally shot in 24 FPS. And a lot of movie directors, a lot of movie actors, they kind of support watching the movies in their native frame rate. That's why they're not a fan of MEMC technology even on TVs, and they recommend that you turn off MEMC while you're watching these movies. So on the PC, it performed very well. And again, to give you a little bit of information about what kind of a PC am I using, I'm actually playing this on a laptop. And I recently purchased the Asus ROG Strix G15, the Advantage Edition. It's an all AMD machine. So you had the AMD Ryzen 5900 HX and the RX 6800 graphic card, which has like 12 GB of graphical memory. So it's a decent configuration. I wouldn't say it's like the best gaming laptop out there. It's more like a mid-range gaming laptop. But with these settings turned up high, I was still able to get a lot out of my laptop. In fact, my RAM is only 16 GB. So I think if I could kind of improve or increase my RAM capacity, I think I could even get better performance out of my Asus ROG Strix G15. Now, scenes like this, I would just like to mention that if you take a look at the water droplets on the windscreen, then there's a lot more on the PC version if I really have to do an apples to apples comparison. Now, of course, the car itself, the ambient lighting inside the car looks better on the PlayStation 5. If you notice, you are actually able to make out a little more of that red lighting inside the car. But the reflections are comparatively better because there is this blur going on in the reflections when it comes to the PC. On the PlayStation 5, it looks kind of flat to me. So the PC definitely does a much better job. Now here also, take a look at the water droplets, take a look at the depth of field especially. And I would want you to notice it because it gives the game a cinematic look on the PC. In fact, it looks far better on the PC. I shouldn't be making a comparison, but hey, it is a comparison video at the end of the day. Now, these comparisons that I make, they're not fair comparisons because at the end of the day, a PC is always going to outperform a PS5 or an Xbox Series S or Xbox Series X. Now, yeah, I would just like to point out, take a look at the foliage in front, the grass. There's a lot more of it. So even in terms of the assets, there's a lot more that you would find on the PC compared to the PlayStation 5. Now, I'm sure that's the same case with an Xbox Series S as well. Now, there are a lot of similarities between the Series X, the Series S, and the PlayStation 5 version, barring the fact that the Xbox Series S does a dynamic 1440p. So it's much lower in terms of the resolution. So on the PlayStation 5, while I was playing it, this video might not be the exact representation of my personal experience while I was sitting in front of the television. Now, I would like to point out that the PC does a much better job even when it comes to close-up shots. And again, just take a look at that depth of field on the PC. Here, it makes it look so much more cinematic. Here again, the grass. There's a lot more of it on the PC version. And in terms of the frame rate, like I said, it's flat 30 FPS on the PlayStation 5. On the PC, I was getting up to even 40 FPS in the gameplay sections of the game, not the cutscenes. So here, everything looks sharper. I mean, there's a lot more vegetation on the PC version again. And the lighting as well. I don't know why, but I feel like the lighting was a little off on the PlayStation 5. Now, the atmospheric or the volumetric fog, if you take a look at it, it's much better on the PC. And in terms of the lighting as well, take a look at the PC version here. The lighting looks so much better for some reason. Now, in some places, the PlayStation 5 might actually surprise you in terms of lighting, but overall, if I really have to take a pick, in terms of the lighting, the PC does a much better job when it comes to the lighting. Now, it's in scenes like this, close-up shots, where you can even take a look at the strands of hair. It looks really pixelated on the PlayStation 5. Now, I don't know if the video will be able to pick up on that, but there's this weird blur. And even if you take a look at the light, the ray of light coming out from the torchlight, it's kind of pixelated. There's some kind of a aliasing issue. I don't know if it's an aliasing issue or not, but there's something weird. And speaking of light, if you would have noticed, just go back 15 seconds, the guy was totally invisible, kind of, on the PC version for some strange reason. So sometimes the weird lighting might actually work in the favor of PlayStation 5. Now here in this case, just take a look at the ground and take a look at the grass on the ground. There's so much more that you find on the PC version. And even in the background, you take a look at the branches from the trees, there's a lot more that you'd be able to see very clearly on the PC version of this game. And lighting again, there's something wrong with the God rays. I don't know if it's just me, my eyes, but I feel that, the lighting is not really up to the mark. Now, this is a good example as well. Again, take a look at that volumetric fog, the lighting that's touching the trees. It looks so much better on the PC version, doesn't it? I mean, the PlayStation 5, although, yeah, it's not bad. If you just play on the PlayStation 5 without taking a look at it on the PC, I'm sure you're going to appreciate it. But this is a comparison video at the end of the day. So you can get much more on a PC when it comes to playing this game. So everything is really sharp. And again, I'm playing in native 4K. And my laptop really performed well. I was surprised. I didn't have huge frame drops. Because, hey, this is just the first 25 minutes that I played on my PC. I don't know if there are other scenes moving forward in the game where there's a lot more happening on screen. So that might kind of drag the frame rate down. But, hey, if I play this game even in 1440p on my PC, I'm sure it's going to perform like a champ. So here again, take a look at that light, the torch light. Especially the edges. That's why I told you, take a look at this video on a big screen. Even the hair, if you take a look at the edges of the hair, there's a weird, how do I put it? It's a shimmering effect, and I hate that effect when it comes to hair or when it comes to foliage. I kind of noticed this while I was playing on Horizon Forbidden West as well. There was an issue in the performance mode, which they fixed later on. So it's definitely something that they can fix via a software patch or a software update. Yeah, it's got that shimmering effect on the edges. Even the character, you do have that shimmering effect, not in the cutscenes. The cutscenes are clean. But when it comes to the gameplay element of the game, you have that shimmering effect, especially on the edges. Here also you would notice that, especially the hair of the character. It's more evident in these close-up shots. Here again, take a look at the background. Here in this case, the PlayStation 5 may actually end up looking sharper. It's because of that depth of field that the PC has. I personally feel that it gives it a more cinematic look, and I kind of like it over the PlayStation 5 version because it gives it, that depth. I mean, it looks more like, it's kind of a 3D presence there. But on the PlayStation 5 version, it's just kind of flat, everything is sharp. So that kind of takes away from the immersiveness and the experience. So yeah, in the close-up shots again, especially the hair, it shimmers on the PlayStation 5 version. And on the PC, everything looks sharp. Really sharp. I even kind of slowed this footage down here in this section so that you could actually take a look at it. Don't know if that helped, but let me know in the comment section if that did. Now, the overall lighting, the overall performance of the game is definitely much better on the PC. And this is a game which is very unique, and I think you should kind of pick it up. I'm still waiting for it to go on sale, and that's when I will get my hands on this game for sure. It's a game which has over 186 unique endings, so that says a lot. I mean, you have already taken a look at those QuickTime events. The moment you miss any of those events, it has consequences. So you really have to be kind of attentive while you're playing this game, because a QuickTime event may come up on screen anytime, and you have to be prepared to hit the right buttons. So yeah, it's an interesting game for sure. I mean, the first 25 minutes, they're quite entertaining. And going by that, I would recommend that you do play this game. Now, if you have a PC, I think the PC is the better version of the game because, hey, it's a PC at the end of the day. You have more graphical options as well. On the PlayStation 5, not so much. There are no graphical options here. And it's that sharpness, it's that texture quality, it's the ambient occlusion, it's the lighting overall that is so much better on the PC. And there's really no competition, but just for the sake of making a comparison, I actually ended up making a video where I'm comparing this with a PlayStation 5 version of this game. So either which way, I mean, if you can get your hands on an Xbox Series S as well, I think it's a game worth playing. And overall, you would be happier if you play this on a PC, but I think the PlayStation 5 kind of held up really well. So it's a great game. Do get your hands on it. And before I finally conclude this video, it takes a lot of kind of effort, to make these videos, because I have to stitch up each of these videos separately and match them frame by frame. So I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like and subscribe button, and also that bell icon in case you want to get notified with my latest videos. Now with that said, it's a wrap for this one, and take care, stay safe, and may God bless you all.